Well, alrighty, gang. Welcome back to the Active Self-Protection Podcast. I'm once again your host, Mike Bulliver, and with any luck at all, I remain your favorite.
Tired of ads? Sick of age gates or confirming your ID to YouTube? Download the ASP Unlimited app and your wish is granted. Exclusive content, full-length classes, monthly seminars, it's all in the ASP Unlimited app. Hit the link in the description for a totally risk-free 7-day trial and download the ASP Unlimited app on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, and Android TV today.
Former Fed with us today, a new friend of mine. His name is Brandon. He is from a small town west of Houston. He is single with 2 kids, and he is the vice president, of a tool company. Brandon, how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, Mike. How are you?
Would you prefer Mr. Vice President, or how should I address you, sir? I don't want to be disrespectful.
Whatever makes you happy, man.
Just don't call you late for dinner, right?
That's exactly right.
That's the important thing. So Brandon wrote in a while back, and again, not a traditional, crazy shoot 'em up incident, but something that he feels like because of his viewership of the channel and listenership to the podcast, he was given some mental reps that came into play, and we love to hear that. This is why we do what we do. And we mentioned in our little pre-talk, he mentioned, last week's, as we're recording this, last week's episode was a young man who had an issue, potentially needing to draw a gun from a seated position in his truck, which is something he hadn't thought through. And what Brandon said to me was, well, I hadn't thought of that either. Now I've thought of it. Now it's something I can address. So that's fantastic. That's exactly why we do this. So that's very gratifying to hear that helped. So Brandon, walk us through what a vice president at a tool company does, because I really have no idea. I always think of upper management. They just sit around with their feet up on a desk, throwing darts at something, and if somebody walks in, they sit up and shuffle some papers around. So you tell me what actually goes on.
Every once in a blue moon, that actually happens. But for the most part, in our particular instance, vice president, I'm actually one of the sons of the owner. So it's actually the exact opposite with me, unfortunately. I wear a rainbow-colored beanie, as I like to put it. I do a little bit of everything. I do our HR. I do our marketing. I do payroll. I do purchasing. I do a little bit of everything. It's a small to medium-sized family-owned business.
Right on. Well, that all sounds terrible to me. All the things you just mentioned, that is like anathema to what I want to do for a living. I'm so grateful that I work at a place where there's people who do all that stuff, and I don't have to worry about it. And I don't supervise anyone, which is also fantastic. I just have to worry about me and my program and getting stuff done. I have to work with people, right?
Yeah.
I got to get Stephanie and Neil on stuff, and I got to get with John to do badge camps, but I do like the sort of independent stuff. So I'm glad you're there to do those things, and it's really cool that you get to work with your family. Is that ever a problem? Don't worry, they won't listen to this.
It honestly isn't that bad, man, to be honest. There's days, there's a different dynamic with family, but my dad, he's 70 years old, and he was the founder, and we've been doing this for 40-something years, and, there's testy days, but for the most part, I think we handle it pretty well. It's myself and 2 of my brothers and my father and mother.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. Like the Widener family, like most of the Widener family works in some way, shape, or form for active self-protection. So they might have too much togetherness. Don't tell Neil or Steph I said that, but
of course not.
So moving on, talk to us about your self-defense history. Like, is this something you've always considered, had in the front of mind? Are you a CCW holder? That sort of thing. Kind of walk us through that. Give us an idea of where you were before this went on.
To start from the beginning, a brief history of it, I didn't really do anything with self-defense wise for a while. I started hunting when I was a kid. My dad got me into guns. We're big whitetail hunters. We hunt in South Texas, stuff like that. So as far as familiarity with guns and, pistols, rifles, all that good stuff, that's been a young age. First foray into self-defense, I was a student at Texas State University. It was Southwest Texas when I went there, and that was a huge protest that we lost, so we went to Texas State. But I studied under a professor. His name was Dan Baker. He did Kaji Kembo, and I studied under him for 3 years. And one of your previous episodes, the gentleman was saying it's amazing how much you still retain of that. I remember him saying that a couple episodes ago, and I still remember a few things. If I kick and punch the bag and stuff, even though I haven't trained since I was in my mid-20s, I still remember a lot of it. And my first thought about doing CCW and actual self-defense was shortly before I found y'all's channel. My brother actually stumbled across y'all's channel and told me that it's something I ought to watch, because we just so happened to get our CCWs by an ex-military guy in Katy, ironically enough, where this happened. And he told me I needed to start watching it, and I still remember the very first video of y'all's I watched. I mean, I don't know if you want me to say it here or not, but
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
it was a guy that walked into a bank. You may remember the video. It was a guy that walked into a bank and did not know that there was an armed security guard sitting on the counter right to the left, kind of perpendicular to the counter. And he decided to hold up the lady at the front, and that security guy did his job. And that guy perished before he got out the door, and everything was there, the graphics and everything else. And I'll never forget that episode. And I was like, this is not something I'm ever going to see on mainstream media or anything like that, where evil actually does exist. All we see is things on the news that probably don't really affect us. So I saw that, and I just kept watching because I had just gotten my CCW and still have it now. And I started carrying, and that pretty much got me going. After I got into the Palm OC, I put that on. I carry that. I carry the handgun. It's just in today's time, man. Anybody listening to this with a straight head, it's getting difficult, man. It's getting difficult.
For sure.
There's a lot more people out there that, I don't know, I hate to use the term crazies, but yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if that's true or if it's our perception, because you and I watch videos like we watch, and most people don't watch those videos. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I don't watch the news any more than I absolutely have to. So my perception lately might be a little bit off center because of that. But I do have two questions for you. First of all, you're a hunter and you live in Texas. Have you ever, or have you considered doing the murdering hogs from a helicopter tour that they have down there? Is that something you've done or want to do?
We actually hunt a place in South Texas where we have that done periodically, because everything you hear is absolutely true. The hog problem down here is an epidemic, and you almost can't kill them fast enough. I've never been in the helicopter, but I have a 308 rifle with a suppressor on it. It's fully integrated, so it's very quiet, and I use that to pick them off when I can if they disturb my deer hunts. But I should do it. It would definitely help, but anybody that wants to come down here to hunt hogs, I promise you won't be disappointed.
Plus, it looks like a lot of fun. I had a buddy of mine, Dave, he and I worked together in San Diego, who went and did it, and he had video of it, and it looked like a ton of fun. Here's my second question, probably not the last question, and that is, so you live in a state now where they have quote-unquote constitutional carry, so there is no requirement for you to have if I'm not mistaken, Texas passed that not long ago.
Oh, yeah, it did.
There's no requirement for you to have a CCW, yet you still do. Do you plan on continuing to sort of requalify for that every year, however long the period is, or not? And do you think that having the CCW in the event that you do, God forbid, get into a shooting will help you in some sort of way as far as, a trial or a civil issue or whatever, as far as you being prepared and being trained? What are your thoughts on that?
To be completely honest, yeah, that's the main reason I'm going to keep doing it, because we are constitutional carry. I've got numerous friends around here that were very excited when that passed, and they carry, that obviously nobody open carries around here. That's not a good idea, but they absolutely carry. But I am going to continue to do it. For starters, I've already done it. I've already trained it. I've already, got it. So why not, renew it? I think every 5 years or something like that. But yeah, I do. I think that if I get into any kind of shooting, I want anything at all that can cast me in a better light.
Sure.
To be something that's available to me. And that is why I'm going to continue to do it. If I didn't have it at all, would I go do it now? Honestly, I'm one of those by the book people. I probably still would go do it, honestly. Okay. Just for the education piece and just for all that, to shoot the pistol, to, do all that.
Yeah, most people, I don't know how true this still is, but there is a fact or a little tidbit that John likes to mention to people, like at the beginning of the conference, beginning of training, that is, if you're doing any training at all, basically beyond just getting a gun and putting it on, if you're doing any training at all, you're already in like the 1% of people who are gun owners, that most people don't get any training. So I think anything you can do to make yourself look more prepared, like you have some common sense in advance of, God forbid, a shooting or some other incident, the better. And things like having firearms legal protection is another great idea if you're going to carry a gun. Carrying OC spray, like you mentioned, is a good idea if you're carrying a gun. Carrying medical, all that sort of thing are mitigating factors that might help you down the road, in my opinion. So your incident happened about how long ago?
It was on March 30th at 1:30 p.m.
Okay, of 2024.
This year, March 2024.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So where were you? What were you doing? And kind of walk us through what happened in your own words.
I was running around the Houston area running errands. I guess I should say this now. I drive a very nice car because it does matter into the story. It's going to play into it. Obviously, the big reason why I think this was getting ready to happen. I do drive a Z01 Camaro. It's an orange one. It's not a common color. It sticks out. It's just something I like, something different. And I was looking for a place to go buy a watch. I was looking for a Macy's and just GPSed it because, we all rely on our GPS now to get us everywhere, whether you need to or not. It's just too easy to type it in. There's traffic here, reroute you there, whatever. I went to Katy Mills Mall because I had not been there in a long time. It's right on the very edge of Katy. And I followed the GPS there, parked my vehicle. Now, when I park my vehicle, I always, and this is partially because I watch y'all's channel, I like to be able to see what's going on around me. I've seen too many things happen inside crowded parking lots when you're all between the cars and everything else. So I actually parked that car. I would say, if you can imagine a mall parking lot, about 5 or 6 rows outside of the last set of cars. And malls aren't as popular as they used to be, so there's plenty of parking now. You got Amazon now, you got Walmart. A lot of people just don't like to leave their house, but I was out and about. So I walked into the mall, and lo and behold, that Macy's was no longer there. And that was the only place that had the watch that I wanted. And I was going to meet some friends at a bar that I hadn't seen in a while, have a few drinks, and, just let the day develop from there. And I walked around that mall a little bit, decided I wasn't going to find what I needed. And so I come walking back out of the mall. And I was on my phone kind of a little perturbed because I was like, what the heck? And I basically just wasted my time. So I come walking out of the mall. And when I get to where the cars start, and anybody that's hearing this, it's just a normal mall parking lot. You got your vehicles back to back in rows, and then you got your rows in the middle, and normal, nothing out of the ordinary.
Sure.
And right about when I got to where the cars were parked outside the entrance, I noticed there was a black Mercedes with dark windows pacing me on the following row over.